But chapter 5, if you remember last week when we talked about chapter 4, we talked about the throne room and God the Father being on the throne and all the aspects of that. Today, chapter 5 talks more about God the Son, or Christ, or Jesus. Chapter 5, verse 1. Let's go ahead and jump in. It says, "And I saw in the right hand of him that sat on the throne a book written within and on the backside, sealed with 7 seals." Okay? I struggled a little bit with finding a title or a phrase for this one. So as I said, God has books, which was kind of interesting to me that he has books. But nevertheless, God has books. God is holding. This is God the Father sitting on the throne, and in his right hand, he holds, more accurately, this would probably be described as a scroll than an actual book. Probably could be a book, but it's probably a scroll, and I'll explain why in a minute. But back in these days, important documents were sealed with clay that would harden, or they would put a little bit of hot wax on it and put like some type of symbol in the hot wax, and that would seal it that it was an important document. To have more than one seal was even more important. The more seals you had, the more important it was. To have 7 seals is extremely important. Why? You remember way back in February when we first started talking about Revelation, what did we say was important about the number 7? Anybody remember? I know it's been a couple months. Completion or perfection. Very good. So this book being sealed with 7 seals, it's not just a random number. This is a complete and perfect book or scroll or whatever it is. It's God's thing. This is perfect. It's complete. Nothing's going to be added to it. Not going to take it away from it. It's complete and it's perfect. There's not grammatical errors. There's not spelling errors, which is a good thing because I'm full of those. I don't know my English very well as far as all that goes, but God does. His is perfect and complete. That's the symbolism of the 7 seals here. The fact that there are 7 of them are highly important. Now, the importance of each seal we'll talk more about next week when we get into Revelation chapter 6 and what's each one and all of that. We'll get into that next week. I'm not going to spend time on it tonight. But what is this scroll or this book? I found quite a few different opinions. Remember when we first started talking about Revelation, we talked about the 4 major opinions: the historical, the preterist, the futurist, and the idealist. Okay? Each one of those viewpoints has a different idea of what this scroll was. The historical viewpoint says this is human history from beginning to end. Okay? The preterist view says this is kind of a divorce document, if you will, with God leaves Israel behind. Don't agree with that one at all. I'll just throw that out there. The futurist says that it's actually the book of Revelation, which kind of makes sense. And next week when we talk about chapter 6, how each seal is broken and a new part of the story comes apart, that does kind of make sense. But maybe not. Who knows? The idealist view says that it is the whole entire plan of salvation. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. Different ideas that I found, that it was God's Word, the Bible, some part of it, whether it's the Old Testament or the New Testament or different books, or if it's going to be that, I'm thinking it's going to be the entirety of God's Word. Okay? I'll just leave it at that, instead of confusing anybody. The other idea, or the last idea that I found that I personally agree with, but it could be one of these, it could be all of these, who knows? There could be more than one thing written on the book, or on the scroll. But it's possible that it is, and I'll tell you why I think this in a minute, but it's possible that this is what the Bible refers to as the Lamb's Book of Life. We talk about it and we preach about it, and we explain that the Lamb's Book of Life is anytime somebody gets saved, their name gets written in the Lamb's Book of Life. Okay? And that contains those names. If we backslide, the name gets taken out. If we come back, it gets put back in, that kind of thing. But it would be sealed. It would be very important. That would make sense, that this is something very important to God. That would explain the completeness, the perfection of it. It would also explain a few verses here when we talk about how nobody can open it, and John's like upset and he's weeping, and that would kind of explain why John's so upset that nobody can open it. Okay, just throwing that out there. John doesn't really explain what it is. Why? Who knows? He just doesn't do it. But he does mention it, so it's very important. Okay, verse 2. And I saw a strong angel proclaiming with a loud voice, "Who is worthy to open the book and to loose the seals thereof?" Verse 3. And no man in heaven, nor in earth, neither under the earth, was able to open the book, neither to look thereon. Who is worthy? The angel here could be Gabriel, but probably not, because if it were Gabriel, he would have the name on it. If the angel's name was important, it would give it to us. But that's not important. It just says it's an angel. And he says, he more or less is saying this angel, and he's just yelling. So all creation could hear him. The heavens, earth, the animal, everything. Who is worthy to open the books? Or the book? Who's worthy to open the seals? And nobody was found worthy. It's kind of sad. Nobody was found worthy. No person is worthy to open the book. Verse 4 and 5. And I wept much, meaning John, because no man was found worthy to open and to read the book, neither to look thereon. And one of the elders, remember the elders we talked about last week? One of the elders saith unto me, Weep not. Behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the Root of David, hath prevailed to open the book and to loose the seals thereof. Who is worthy? The Root of David, the Lion of the tribe of Judah. What does that mean? Back up for just a second. John is upset because nobody is worthy to open the book. And then one of the elders, so remember the elders we talked about last week? There's 24 of them, and we discussed who they possibly were or what they represented. One of them looks at John and says, "Stop crying. There is one worthy."